Hi students, it's nice to see you today. So today is our lesson. Theme is Tales of the Unexpected. The model of the lesson, social sphere of communication, cultural and historical basis. So the lesson topic, tales and stories. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at the topic, tales and stories. So let me introduce you with the objectives of the lesson. So we will develop language, communicative and cultural competences, critical thinking and creativity. And we will try to enlarge vocabulary related to the topic tales and stories. And we will try to improve speaking and writing skills. Let's turn to the plan of the lesson. We will identify the definitions of the terms, a tale and a story. We will study key features of a tale and a story and define the differences between tales and stories. We will consider types of tales and stories. And during this lesson, we will try to explain the use of narrative tenses. So students, what comes to your mind whenever you hear the word tale? Can you give a definition of the word story? What's a tale? Tale is a story often imaginative or fictional that is told to entertain, teach a lesson, or pass down traditions. So, what is a story? A story is a narrative way of telling what happened to someone or something, usually with beginning, middle, and end. So, the students on this slide, we can see the key elements that most folk tales share. First, folk tales usually have a simple plot. The story is easy to follow with a clear beginning, middle, and end, often focusing on one main problem or goal. Next, we have the characters. These are usually familiar types like the brave hero, the evil villain, the wise helper, or the clever trickster. They often represent certain human qualities rather than realistic people. So the next one is the setting is usually vague or magical. Think of phrases like once upon a time or in a faraway land. It gives the story a timeless, universal feeling. Many folk tales also teach a moral or lesson. For example, the value of honesty, kindness, or hard work. Then we have supernatural or magical elements, talking animals, spells, enchanted objects, or mysterious powers often play an important role in moving the story forward. Another common feature is repetition. You might notice things happen 3 times or phrases are repeated to make the story easy to remember and more dramatic. Finally, the students' most folk tales end on a positive note with happy or poetic endings. The good are rewarded, the wicked are punished, and balance is restored. Together, these elements make folk tales memorable, meaningful, and fun to tell across generations. So, on this slide, we are going to discuss key features of a story. Every good story has a few key features that make it interesting and meaningful. Let's go through each one. First, we have the characters. These are the people, animals, or beings who take part in the story. They drive the action and help the audience connect emotionally to what's happening. Next is the setting. This tells us where and when the story takes place. The setting helps create the mood and influences how the characters act. The plot is the sequence of events, the storyline that shows what happens, often following a clear beginning, middle, and end. Then we have the conflict. This is a main problem or struggle in the story. It is what keeps readers interested and pushes the characters to grow or change. So the next one is a theme, is a deeper message or lesson behind the story, what the author wants us to learn or think about. So the point six is the narrative point of view, is a perspective from which the story is told. It could be first person, where the narrator is part of the story, or third person, where the narrator tells us about others. Next is structure, how the story is organized. This includes how the introduction, rising action, climax, and resolution fit together to create a satisfying story. Finally, we have language and style. This refers to the author's word choice, tone, and use of literary devices that make the story unique and engaging. Together, these features work like puzzle pieces to build a complete and powerful story. So let's turn to the next slide. So the terms tale and story are often used interchangeably, but they have some key differences in terms of structure, purpose, and style. Here's a clear comparison. While both tales and stories are forms of narrative, they differ in several key ways. A tale is usually a traditional or imaginative narrative passed down orally, often rooted in folklore. In contrast, a story is a broader term that can be either fictional or true, and may be told in written or oral form from any culture or time period. Tales often follow a simple formal structure involving clear conflicts like good versus evil, magical events, or heroic quests, while stories can have a more complex structure with subplots, detailed settings, and deep character development. The characters in tales are usually flat or symbolic, such as wicked witch or brave hero, whereas stories tend to feature more realistic, multidimensional individuals. In terms of style, tales are often magical, mystical, or exaggerated, while stories vary widely, ranging from realistic and emotional to symbolic or imaginative. The purposes also differ. Tales aim to entertain, teach morals, or preserve cultural traditions, while stories may also inform, persuade, or explore broader human experiences. Examples of tales include fairy tales, folk tales, legends, myths, and fables, while stories include novels, short stories, autobiographies, and historical fiction. So, dear students, let's turn to the next slide. So, there are many types of tales and stories, each with distinct features, styles, and purposes. So, let's turn to the next slide. So, our today's grammar material topics is narrative tenses. Narrative tenses are verb tenses used when telling a story about the past. They help to show when events happened and in what order. So the first one is past simple. So the usage of the past simple for main events in the story. For example, what happened? She opened the door and walked inside. So the second one, past continuous. We use this tense for background actions or things happening at the same time. Example, it was raining while they were walking through the forest. So the third one is past perfect. So we use this tense for actions that happened before the main past events. Example, she had already left when he arrived. So the next one is past perfect continuous. It is less common, but it's useful to know. So we use this tense to show the duration of something that started earlier and continued up to a point in the past. Example, they had been waiting for an hour before the bus came. Okay, let's turn to the next slide. Here are some insightful and inspiring quotations about tales and stories from writers, thinkers, and storytellers. These quotes highlight the power, beauty, and meaning of storytelling. You have to answer to the questions, dear students. The questions are: what are the main features that make a tale different from other types of stories? So the next one, name two types of tales and briefly explain how they are different. The next one, identify the correct narrative tense in these sentences and explain why it is used. She had already left when he arrived. The next one, what are the key elements that every story should include to be complete and engaging? The next one, choose one quotation about tales or stories and explain what it means in your own words. So these students, we have descriptive writing. There are 3 writing tasks about people. Choose one of them and write a 250-word essay. The first task, describe a place you visited that left a strong impression on you. It could be a city, village, a natural landscape, or even a building. What made it special or unforgettable? So the second one, imagine you are a journalist or detective. You arrive at a quiet town where something unusual has happened. The streets are empty and strange symbols appear on buildings. Investigate and describe the scene. Task number 3, write a descriptive account of an event that changed your perspective or taught you an important lesson. This could be based on real life or fictional. These students, we have research project. Here's a research project task focusing on writing a story. It includes a clear task description and 5 research questions to guide you through the planning and research process. Project title, creating a story, researching the elements of great storytelling. You are going to write your own original short story. Before writing, you will research what makes a good story by exploring story elements, narrative techniques, and examples of successful short stories. Your goal is to understand the structure, characters, and language used in storytelling and apply that knowledge to your own creative writing. So, research questions. What are the key elements of a well-structured story? Example, you have to find out plot, characters, setting, conflict, resolution, and how do writers make the characters interesting and believable? What types of conflict, internal and external, are commonly used in short stories? How do authors use descriptive language and narrative tenses to bring a story to life? What can you learn from reading and analyzing one short story by a famous author? So these students, it's time to conclude the lesson. Definition of the terms tale and story were identified. Key features of a tale and story were studied. The differences between tales and stories were defined. Types of tales and stories were considered. The use of narrative tenses was explained. So that's the end of our video lesson. I believe we will do your best and fulfill all the assignments given in this video lesson. You can get more information from the references that are given on this slide, and you can also list of websites that is that are also given on this slide. Thanks for having a time with me. Have a good day off. See you.